should not be writing this. I know they will be looking for me as soon as this goes live. I had to get the word out despite all the secrecy surrounding the project. I don't know what they'll do to me when they find me, but this has to get out. I was an unemployed vet tech looking for work when I came across a job listing offering a strangely large amount of money. What did I have to lose? I called the number and they sent me to a website that took me through an application process and a security clearance form that I had to fill out the last 7 years of my life. They said it would be months until the clearance would come through, but to my surprise, a month later, I got a phone call telling me I had been granted interim secret clearance and the job would proceed. I had to go to a building without any name on it downtown, and they took my photo for an ID card and a packet of information about where I was to go to the next day. The next morning, I drove to the address with a mix of excitement and apprehension. What about this job required a security clearance? Why had I gotten my interim secret so quickly? I figured I'd soon find out when I pulled up to a gate with a card reader. I swiped my ID and the razor wire topped gate slid open so I could pass. Yeah, nothing ominous about that. I drove a mile or so down the road and parked in the parking lot in front of a building that looked like the set of a prison movie. The windows were narrow slits, and I could tell from a distance that the door was very heavy-duty. Thinking back a few minutes ago, wasn't the top of that razor wire fence angled in as if to keep something in rather than people out? I got out and approached the heavy door. I spotted the card reader and used my ID on it, and it flashed green, and there was a loud clunking sound from the door as it unlocked. I had to put some muscle behind it to get it to open, and then it shut behind me, followed by another loud clunk as the locks re-engaged. I turned to see a thick armored window with a guard staring me down. "First day, huh?" he asked me as he looked at his screen. "Yeah," I said a bit nervously. "Sit tight. Your department head will be coming to pick you up and take you to your in brief," he said. "What is this place?" I asked. "All that will be answered by the briefing, so have a seat and relax. You're likely in the safest spot in the facility," he said. I looked at the inner door and noticed it was just as thick and heavy as the outer one. I was essentially sitting in an armored booth, so he was technically right about it being safe. When my boss arrived, he was wearing scrubs and had his ID card clipped to the bottom of the V of the top. "So, you're my new tech?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I replied. "Good. Hopefully you follow instructions better than the last one," he said. "I'm Dr. Tanner. You can call me sir or doctor." "Sir, can you tell me what I'll be doing here?" I asked. "All in due time. First, you need to complete the safety briefing. It is not a joke. Take a look at the windows and doors if you need convincing. The government doesn't spend this kind of money unless it's very necessary, and it is. You'll understand the need for it when I introduce you to our charges. I'm not going to tell you yet, because I enjoy the look on people's faces when they get their first peek of what we're doing here," he said. "Now, for the safety briefing. Follow me." He began to open the inner door when he stopped and looked back at me. "Do you have any electronic devices on you?" "No, sir. The security documents instructed me to leave my phone and anything with a digital memory in the car," I said. "Excellent. You're already demonstrating that you can follow directions," he said. Was that a hint of a smile I saw? He led me down the hallway to a room on the left and used his card to unlock and open the door. After I walked inside what appeared to be a conference room, he followed me inside and let the door shut. I immediately noticed the back of the door wasn't the usual thing one would expect to see. It had a big lever in the middle that looked like it operated bolts to secure the door shut. I started to wonder what the hell I had gotten myself into. I expected to be working with maybe the facility's guard dogs. This kind of security was on a level I hadn't experienced before. You're observant. Another plus, the doctor said. He walked over to the table and picked up a recorder and pressed play. A trilling alarm sound came for it, and he let it play for a few seconds before cutting it off. If you hear that sound, along with flashing red lights, you are to go to the nearest safe room, such as this one, and use this lever to bolt the door. He walked over and pressed a button by the windows, and the thick glass became opaque. And you are to opaque the windows with the control in the room so nothing can see in, he said, and then pointed to a door on the other wall that had emergency supplies written on it. There you will find food, water, and other necessities if you happen to be locked down for an extended period of time. There is also a radio already set to the control room frequency. If the phone is not working, pull the tab on the back of the radio, so the battery makes contact and reports in with the information posted on the back of the door. That's basically who you are, where you are, and if there are any threats you know of near you. Otherwise, sit tight unless told otherwise. Threats? I asked. Our charges are out of containment or an external threat, the doctor replied. What's so dangerous that we need bunker rooms like this? I asked. All in due time, he replied. Have you ever used a tranquilizer gun? No, I responded. No matter, you'd need to qualify on the two types we use anyway with the security team, he said. Why do we need tranquilizer guns? I asked. The animals we work with are dangerous. They're sedated before they get to us, and one of our tasks is to make sure they stay sedated until they're returned to the enclosure. If one wakes up and slips a restraint, you are not going to want to go near it to give an injection. That's why we have tranq guns, the doctor said. That makes perfect sense to me, I said. My curiosity was burning, wondering what we were working with. Had to be something like large predators to require this much security. A grizzly would be a plausible reason why the doors had the extra bars. The force they could produce could snap the usual latches. Good, because it's time for my favorite part. Showing the new guy what we work with, the doctor said, and led the way deeper into the facility and up a set of stairs to a room labeled observation deck. The windows are to remain frosted by the electronic controls there, whenever the room is not in use. They cannot see in, but they seem to know someone is watching them, and it upsets them. It's best for everyone if they are not upset. He reached over and pressed the button and the electronic frosting cleared. That's the moment where my brain completely derailed and I questioned my own sanity. Werewolves? I asked. No, at least not at this facility. These are a lesser-known cryptid called Dogman, kind of like Bigfoot. Wait, is Bigfoot real? I asked. Yes, but not nearly as widespread as sightings would make you think, he said. If these exist, what else is real? I asked him. That's beyond your need to know, he said sternly, but then his face softened. I'll lend you a book later that contains everything we've confirmed and studied. After all, if you continue with this job, you will have the opportunity to work with them in the future, and it's best you know what you're getting into, he said. One benefit they probably haven't gotten around to telling you yet is that they will pay for your education. You can become a full veterinarian, working with the most interesting creatures that exist, he said. Not a bad gig, huh? Except for the part where I'm working with large, dangerous creatures, I said. Large, intelligent, dangerous creatures, he replied. And that is why we have procedures and rules. Things like always having more sedatives staged to inject if a patient starts to wake up, having them restrained at all times. And if they do wake up, you have the tranq guns to put them back under without risking yourself, he said, and tapped the control to frost over the glass again. Our next stop was back in the conference room, where there were now a couple of binders. Now for the boring part. Study these because you'll have to pass a test on them later. It's those procedures I mentioned. It covers everything from handling the animals, dosages we use, and why we can't leave after dark. Wait, we can't leave after dark? I asked, a bit alarmed. There are dogmen in the woods surrounding this facility. The fence does a decent job of keeping them out, but they do get in, and they're not happy we have some of their kind captive. They're fairly shy during the day and become active at night. So it's for your own safety that once the sun sets you stay here. We have secure rooms just for the occasion, and scrubs are not short in supply if you need a change of clothing. We have a mess hall staffed 24/7 by some excellent cooks. People who can do this job are rare, so they take care of us. Now, get to reading. You'll have to pass a test before you're allowed to work. I'll come pick you up for lunch. I did as he said, and spent the next few hours reading with a break for the promised lunch that was beef stroganoff, and actually really good. I went for seconds. Then, it was back to memorizing policy and procedures, till I was finally done and managed a passing score on the test. That was followed by some time at an indoor range, getting qualified on the tranq guns. The doctor reviewed my test and nodded. Excellent. You're a fast learner. We've rescheduled some things for tomorrow, so we'll have the extra help. You head home and get a good night's rest. I'll see you in the morning in the veterinary section. Just follow the signs. It's easy to find, the doctor said. I did as he said and drove home. I couldn't help but be a good deal more vigilant as I looked at the woods on the way out. Dogmen were out there, and no one in the area except us knew. There were the cryptid hunters, but they didn't know for sure like I did from seeing a pack close up. Needless to say, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep that night. My mind was racing with the possibilities of what was real from all of the stories. In the morning, I made breakfast and sat for a bit, having to give myself a reality check that yesterday wasn't just a dream, so I finally picked up my keys and headed out. I drove down the lonely road and passed through the gate without incident. I parked my car and made my way through the security checkpoints and began following the signs to the veterinarian department. As the doctor had said, it wasn't difficult to find. There were 3 entrances, all like airlocks, that were long enough for a gurney. It didn't take long to figure out the purpose. If you had dangerous animals inside, you wanted at least one door containment, so they couldn't get past you and into the larger facility. I went inside through the airlock-like doors, one at a time, and found myself in a very familiar veterinary clinic, the one that was very well stocked. It was then that I met my other coworker. I'll call him Mike, who was sitting on a stool reading a magazine. Hey, you must be the new guy. I'm Mike, he said, and I introduced myself. So, your first big day. You excited or terrified? Mike asked. A bit of both, I said, honestly. Relax. By the time they get to us, they've been pumped with enough drugs to drop an elephant. We take samples, and the guards take them back out. Then we run the usual tests, like any other animal. It's easy money, Mike said. We're never in any danger. What about all of the procedures? I asked. There's what's written down on paper, and then there's what is practical and works. If we followed the checklist for every dogman that's brought in here, it would just take us twice as long, and twice as long that it can wake up, Mike said. So relax. I'll show you what you really have to do to streamline things. What was I to say? He'd obviously been doing this for a long time, and if his system worked, who was I to question it? Our first patient of the day made me the most nervous. The security team wheeled in a restrained female on a gurney right into the middle of our space. Then they backed out. Being the new guy, I did the basics by checking heart rate, breathing, and looking into the eyes to to make sure she was out cold. Everything was normal based on the numbers I had memorized. Mike watched me, corrected my stethoscope placement a little, and started drawing blood as soon as I was done. The moment he was done, he buzzed the guards to take her back out while he labeled the samples. Less time they're in here, the better. So label your samples and fill out the papers once they're taken out, Mike said. No need to have a dangerous animal laying around while we fill out forms. What about the extra sedative we're supposed to have ready? I asked. The trank guns are right there. Much safer to back off out of reach and just shoot them with another dose, Mike said. I couldn't fault his logic. We had 4 more patients that day. All went as smoothly as the first, and I was beginning to relax. It was our last patient of the day when things went wrong. It started normally with the guards rolling the mail into our space, and I took vitals and checked the eyes. Hey, I have some dilation here. I don't think he's under enough. Where's the sedative? I asked. Don't worry about it. I'll be done before he realizes what happened, Mike said, and undid one of the restraints a little so he could get to the vein. It was at that point things went horribly wrong. As soon as Mike inserted the needle, the male woke up and jabbed its hand upward, catching Mike in the throat and spraying blood everywhere. I moved forward out of instinct to try and tighten the restraint when I felt a searing pain across my face and my right eye went red. I stumbled back. Oh God, had I lost my eye? I shook myself out of it long enough to badge through a door and throw the bolts before pressing the intercom button. Creature out of containment in veterinary. I think Mike is dead. I'm hurt and need a medic, I said before blacking out. I don't know how long it was, but when I woke up, I was in a hospital room and the veterinarian was sitting beside my bed. You're safe. You're in a hospital and just out of cosmetic surgery. You'll have some scars, but it'll look like the result of a big cat. Your eye's fine. Mike, dead before any help would get to him. We have video of the whole thing, including you questioning him multiple times on matters of procedure. Don't let someone senior intimidate you into not being safe. You have a month's paid leave to recuperate, he said. So here I am. I need some advice. Should I go back to work after my leave is done, or turn in my resignation? It won't take them much to figure out who I am if they find this post. I also don't know what they'll do to me if they do. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more horror content. If you have any real cryptid encounters, or you're a horror writer wanting to share your stories, please feel free to email me in the description anytime.